Hey, good morning, everybody. How's it going this morning? Kimberly, BX-Ray, what's going on? All right, so CPI came out, and first 4 minutes was like a 50-something point range on the S&P 500 futures. Crazy moves. Let's jump into what I'm seeing. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss, Don't get in this game if you can't take the losses. This presentation here, informational, educational, fun, is not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. If you desire that personal financial advice, go hire and consult a financial advisor. And yeah, happy Valentine's Day, babe. All right. Looking at stock twits, of course, the index is moving like crazy. And we've got a little bit of energy in here, BTU, NVIDIA, interesting stuff. So look at this. Yeah, look at this giant freaking candle right here. Look at this, top to bottom, right there. Down to 32-ish, up to 86-ish. I mean, that was just ridiculous on the move. And that was a 5-minute candle right there. So crazy stuff. Now it did break. One thing kind of tipped me a little more bias long, because we're gonna have to zoom out here. We broke higher, pushed higher than this February 9th high right here. We could not get above this February 7th high yet. So that's something I'm watching. We may need to, you can see it on this hourly chart, we may need to come back, retest this trend line one more time. That's the uptrend of the lows that we've been kind of following along with all of January here. Looks like it, for whatever reason, it doesn't stick where I put it on TradingView. So if we connect that low and that low, that is all of 2023, an uptrend of lows. So if we maintain that, higher we can go. And here's another little interesting tidbit I just noticed. Interest rates ticking back higher, the market rate pushing back up into the Fed's target zone. So it was looking like we were going to cross, but the market rate's going up again. Interesting, right? So this thing's going to keep going. I kind of threw out there that we may see this go sideways for a little bit and then take off. Well, if the market rate's just going to keep climbing, then the Fed's going to keep chasing it. That's what's going to happen. So next FOMC meeting coming up next month in March. CPI print coming out today. Let's pop over and look at the calendar here. Refresh it really quickly. We've got month over month CPI coming in pretty flat. And just right at the expectation there, forecast actual. We've got year over year coming in a little above the estimation. But they did change the way the calculation worked. So is it accurate? Does it actually compare or not? I don't know. And then core CPI month over month coming in basically flat also, right at the expectation. So we're still sitting at like 6.4% inflation year over year. That's pretty steep and well above the 2% target, 2-3% target that the Fed has for raising interest rates. So right now, still rocking on that. Tomorrow morning, before we open the market again, we get core retail sales expected to be down 1%. And we get Empire State Manufacturing Index, and we also get retail sales, core retail and retail, both expected to be down a little bit. See what happens. I kind of think that's going to come in line probably. And then Thursday morning, we get core PPI, which is Producer Price Index. The CPI is Consumer Price Index. So these numbers coming out on Thursday. So we've got a week of a lot of market moving numbers coming out. So be careful. All right. Be careful out there. Morning, Kevin. And yeah, those can all keep moving. And natural gas storage coming out on Thursday also. All right. What's moving today? What's hot? What's not? Let's find out. Zoom back in. So yeah, lots of volatility, and I thought we might see a dip on this. I mean, I was talking about in Discord late yesterday that I thought we may see a drop in the market reaction and then find support and then rally. So we'll see what happens here. NASDAQ also dripping off a little bit, and Russell. I mean, they all look the same, coming into it flat and then getting some chaos here. Dollar looks to be popping a little bit on this, but not major. We're still down below that resistance line I drew on the chart. You know, we were dropping down, and then we're just kind of sitting here. So I'm kind of expecting it to drop off of this, which would correspond with the market rally. So we'll see what happens here. We could pop up, hit the roadmap line before we drop on off. PLTR announcing banging earnings, making money, and beating on the top and the bottom, getting a nice little pop. I have some $13 calls on this that I've had for a while, out to January 2024. So it needs a pop. And this thing has a setup right here. It's a measured bounce type setup that can take this thing up here in this 15 to 16 area. And then if it gets a retrace, it can push on up even higher. Well, I guess first it would come up to this 12 area, retrace, push on up to this 15, 16 area potentially. But we do have resistance here and resistance here from these prior highs. So be careful. I wouldn't bet the farm on this one. It's got a lot to prove. Let it set up some market echoes and keep going higher. But near term, expecting at least a push to 10, if not up towards 13. So CAR also throwing out some amazing earnings. I mean, that's a huge numbers per share on the earnings, beating on the top and the bottom numbers. Pretty darn good. I mean, surprised 56% more money per share than the analysts were guessing, and it's all guesses. So yeah, let's not bet the farm. Yeah. That's a little tongue-in-cheek, babe. Anyway, so yeah, there's Avis Budget Group, and looks like car rentals are going swimmingly right now. Making money, making money. ZTS also getting a nice little pop. Looks like they disappointed on their, well, that's essentially in line, not really disappointing. And beating on the bottom, getting a nice pop, a few bucks. That one has, let's see, we got some resistance right up here, right there above us. That thing's been moving like crazy. I mean, that's a big range dollar wise. Looks like gravy or gravity, gravy, GRVY, gravy, and yeah, popping on what I guess probably, yeah, had earnings, but they're not showing up in TradingView. So it's kind of a downtrend, but we can break up out of here, getting above this high right here, which we're right at it, looks like. That can start changing the tides on gravity. GFS, Global Foundries, nice little pop. Foundry is going to be some sort of metalworking, I'm sure. Looks like earnings today, beating on the top, beating on the bottom. Yeah, seems to be the name of the game. Coin was also making the list for a pop. They don't have earnings for another couple of weeks, but they came down and did another one of those measured bounce setups. Now this one right here, I went long on this yesterday in a couple of my services. Looking for a move up to this 109 area at a minimum. Back at that prior high. It's funny how that all corresponds together. But that would be right there, and if it's going to go bullish, it could get back up into this $140 area. So interesting stuff there. Next up, BTU getting a nice pop, and it's just a standard roadmap setup. This one can, if it will actually get up off this floor and get out of the resistance here, It can push out to 35 or even 38 on the upside. So, Fling, FLNG, Flex LNG. That's going to be liquefied natural gas. Natural gas kind of popping this morning. And yeah, that one's just stuck in a range though. We can see it push out to 39, but that's not a huge move from 34.60. Just be careful. That's a lot of sideways consolidation crap right there. SEDG getting crushed a little bit. Looks like $15 down. This thing's just a volatile sucker. Watch that. It did have a head and shoulders setup, but if it breaks down, it can come all the way back down to this orange consolidation box that it's just been in for like a year practically. Yeah, just going sideways. Chop, chop, chop. So, maintaining my sideways on SEDG. FSLR, getting a little $4 drop there. Not much compared to the range it's been just in the last few weeks. I mean, jeez, look at that range. Up to 185, down to 163, $20 range in a couple weeks. Now this one looks like, if I had to guess, looks like we're going to come down here. But that could be an echo of a prior pullback, and we could just keep on extending. So, need a little more work on that one. Come back tonight. You know, I may, if you're really interested in it, come ask me tonight during the 30 minutes. Awesome. I can go through FSLR more. OM also getting hit. Looks like it came back to the roadmap line. Look at that, right back down in the pre-market. ENPH. We got 4 minutes before the open. ENPH, if we break below that support, we can come on down here. Be careful. If we break back above the roadmap line, we can go up again. Another one of those crazy ranges. I mean, look at that. From December, early December, 380 or 338 down to 200-ish. I mean, that's 140 points. 140 bucks per share. That's a huge range on EMPH. But it needed the correction, and it's starting to look like a little bit of a measured bounce setup. If we hold in right here and start higher, this thing can go really monster high. And we're not even talking here, we're talking way on up there. So, but it needs to finish finding support first. And if we don't hold here, we can return right on down here. Cold, yeah, getting a little drop on that natural gas popping. NG1 exclamation point. Not a huge pop on natural gas, that's for sure. Down here, just consolidating in the 250 area on natural gas, just chopping. Well below all the fibs. Yeah, it's just been a constant drop. I mean, look at that, just no pullbacks, no nothing. At some point, it looks like we maybe could expect some sort of positive pullback correction if it's going to go lower, but I wouldn't count on anything right now. It looks dead. Dead to the world. Anyway, QSR getting slammed. Looks like it may come back to the roadmap line. I mean, that's kind of the pattern, right? Had a nice big pullback right back here, so if this happened again, that could be even further down, back in the 50s. So BAC also, now we're into stuff that was on StockTwits. BAC getting talked about. Not sure what they got going on. Let's see, slowing down hiring, reducing headcount. Yeah, that was pretty common about among a lot of the banks. So, you know what? If people can't afford to borrow money, then you don't need a bunch of people to write loans and all that stuff. So, I mean, just kind of makes sense. Let's see. This one, holy moly. No data. Can't really, I don't know. See what the news is. Any news? Yeah, nothing. Just getting talked about on StockTwits. KO. Looks like their earnings came out. Met on the top, beat on the bottom, getting slammed a little bit, probably from statements about the outlook. They are below a downtrend line of highs. Like I said, TradingView just not working with me holding these lines here properly. But until we can get above that, just sideways to drifting lower on Coke. And Nvidia also getting talked about. Looks like pulling back just a hair. They've got earnings coming up. Was that next week? Yeah, next week. About a week. Well, yeah, next week. Next Thursday. Wednesday. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, GPT-3, if you haven't heard of it, I mean, giant language model runs, Chat GPT is GPT 3.5. That runs on NVIDIA 100s. Those are like $20,000 graphics cards. And, I mean, that's what they run this thing on, and they're building more of these things. They're, Microsoft rolling out Bing with with GPT-4 technology in it. That's got to be even bigger, even more GPUs. So, and they're trying to scale this puppy up to be able to let more and more people use it. Chat GPT just released a $20 a month subscription, so you can get on there and talk to it. It's a handy tool if you write copy and if you create stuff online. It can provide a lot of content for you. A lot of the mindless just filling out papers and stuff, it can fill it in. You can actually copy something that you've written, give it to it, and ask it how to improve it, and it'll give you suggestions. It's pretty interesting. So this technology is not going away. It's just getting bigger, better, and slicker. And NVIDIA stands to benefit. AMD rides along the coattails also. They provide GPUs. GPUs can run this stuff too. It can run on AMD. And the funny thing is, once you train the model and build the model, and it doesn't have to run on the high-end GPUs anymore, you can actually query it on the lower-end GPUs, which, arguably AMD has a little bit lower-end GPUs than NVIDIA. So you can run these models. You don't have to keep it on the high-end hardware. You can offload it to lower-end hardware. So anyway, that's kind of what's moving today. We're about to get the open, or we just hit the open 1 minute ago. And it's like we're getting a little pullback. S&P still stuck in this range. I mentioned before, as long as we're stuck in this zone, we're going to go sideways. I mentioned that last week. Got to break out, got to break down. So far, neither one happening. I do expect to make a lower low than we made on Friday.